Morgan's withdrawal into Tennessee. August 1864. The raid into Kentucky was now a part of the ever-growing legend of General John Hunt Morgan, known as the Thunderbolt of the Confederacy. The general's command spent the last part of the summer of 1864 gathering stragglers that had escaped capture during the raid. The combination of men slowly returning from Kentucky and the addition of new recruits had brought the small army close to pre-raid numbers. Once again, the morale and confidence was high among the men of the Department of Southwest Virginia and East Tennessee. Learning that a large contingent of Union soldiers under the command of General Alvin Gillum was in East Tennessee, Morgan immediately began planning to push them out. In early August, he ordered several of his regiments to move to Jonesboro, Tennessee. In hopes of keeping appraised of Union plans for an invasion into Virginia, he ordered the 10th Kentucky Mounted Rifles to patrol the Kentucky and Virginia borders. Captain David Caudle was commander of the regiment, as Major Chenoweth had been captured and was being held as a prisoner of war. Caudle and his fellow mountaineers were eager to move back into the mountain ranges near their homes. Knowing the land very well, they were adept at the task at hand. But the time of being near their families was short-lived, as orders arrived on August 16 for them to report to Colonel Giltner in East Tennessee. The courier did not bring all bad news. He informed Captain Caudle that Colonel Ben Caudle, his brother, had been exchanged on August 3rd and had arrived in Abingdon on August 15th. However, the popular colonel was very weak from his long incarceration as a prisoner of war and would not be able to take command of the regiment until nearly a month later. Blue Springs Battlefield Revisited. August 21st, 1864. The 10th Kentucky Mounted Rifles arrived in Jonesboro on August 20th, at which time they were informed that Giltner's brigade was now in Greenville, Tennessee. The brigade was under the command of Colonel Trimble, as Colonel Giltner had been recalled to Abingdon. Continuing their march, the 10th Kentucky arrived at Greenville on August 21st. From there, they were rushed to the old Blue Springs battlefield, as Colonel Trimble and the brigade were preparing for a fight. The men of Caudle's army marched on to Blue Springs, arriving at midday to a warm welcome. The outnumbered Confederates needed all the help they could get. Captain Caudle and his men were placed on the right of the 10th Kentucky Cavalry. By 2 o'clock, the men had completed building breastworks and were expecting a Union attack. At 3 o'clock, the Union Army attacked, driving in the Confederate pickets, before being stopped by the main battle line. The two opposing armies were content with exchanging volleys from a distance, as the Union men realized that the rebels had a strong defensive position. The rest of the evening was spent with sporadic gunfire being exchanged. Finally, the Union soldiers returned to their camp, much to the delight of the Confederate defenders. For the remainder of the night, the rebels slept on their guns.